We begin this hour with a potential breakthrough in what some have called panda diplomacy. This week, Chinese President Xi Jinping signaled his country could eventually send new pandas to the United States, calling them envoys of friendship. That's welcome news for fans of the cuddly creatures. This month, a pair of pandas and their cub, residents of Washington's National Zoo, were sent back to China. As Adriana Diaz shows us, that follows more than 50 years of furry friendship.
The pandas left the nation's capital with diplomatic flair, a police escort, a private plane, and a hero's welcome back in China last week. For half a century, they've been among Washington's heaviest hitters.
Did you see pandas?
Yes. There's one straight behind you.
Oh, look at how cute.
But they've always been on loan. Smithsonian's National Zoo pays China millions for the pandas.
They are just joy. People watch them, they're happy, they smile.
Brandy Smith is the zoo's director.
They were supposed to return about 3 years ago.
And then they had a baby.
They did have a baby.
Pandemic puppy.
Yes, yes, our Xiao Qiji, our little pandemic miracle.
Xiao Qiji means little miracle in Mandarin because he was born by artificial insemination when his mother was 22, well past a panda's prime mating age of around 6 years old. It's little known that the first panda in the U.S. was likely this one nearly a century ago, a cub captured in 1936 by American explorer Ruth Harkness, who even got the hotel treatment en route to the Brookfield Zoo outside Chicago. Many mistakenly believe pandas first arrived in 1972. After President Nixon's groundbreaking trip to a then closed-off China led to so-called panda diplomacy. Georgetown professor Dennis Wilder advised the Bush administration on China.
The story goes, as told by Pat Nixon, in front of her was a tin of cigarettes, and on the cover of that tin was a panda. And she turned to Premier Chou En-lai, who was sitting next to her, and said, "I love pandas." And he said, "You love pandas, why don't I give you some?"
I think pandemonium is going to break out right here at the zoo.
And it's never died down. Americans' love only grew with the Panda Cam. Bao Bao's first snow day got over 6 million views, and they were hooked on Bei's famous but shaky love of heights. Zookeeper Lori Thompson was on the plane.
What have you taught them to get them ready for being in another environment completely?
The Chinese also do the same similar training as us. If we want them to stand up, we would do this.
And they listen, they stand up?
Yes, an open mouth is like this.
You've seen them grow up. Mm-hmm. How are you doing?
I'm trying not to think about the end.
Shaky relations between the U.S. and China in the skies, over Taiwan, and a shot-down spy balloon have coincided with China letting American panda contracts lapse with no renewals.
I like to call it punitive panda diplomacy. And this is Chinese subtlety.
But this week, after a productive meeting with President Biden Wednesday, President Xi said he heard Americans were sad to see the pandas go and indicated more could be heading to the San Diego Zoo. Washington's National Zoo had no comment, but when their pandas departed, Director Smith said this.
I cannot imagine Washington, D.C. without giant pandas, and I will do everything I can to bring them back.
A promise for progress in panda diplomacy.
For CBS Saturday Morning, Adriana Diaz, Washington.
Sounds like some playing favorites there.
Well, either way, they are just
Yes, they are.
Did you ever get to see them?
Yeah, really cute.
Yeah.
I don't
Panda
remember
Cam.
if it would have had to have been when I was in college.
Yeah.
That's a long time ago.
Oh,
Long time ago.
Ooh, yeah.